Does your property management company collect security deposits from either your landlord clients or their tenants, or even both? Well, then you need to know how to set up all kinds of security deposits when using QuickBooks Desktop. If you have any questions about this topic, you can leave them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to help you. And of course, if you feel the video helped you, I hope you will click like and don't forget to subscribe to get updates on new videos that come out all the time. What are the different kinds of security deposits that a property management company keeps records of? Well, we have to have a tenant security deposit that we collect from tenants when they move in, and we know that's for potential damages to property, and sometimes it's applied to the last month's rent. However, we also sometimes collect a separate landlord client's deposit for potential expenses that the landlord is responsible for. These expenses are paid by the management company up front. That means we pay it first and then we ask the landlord to pay us back. Sometimes we deduct that money from the normal monthly payout, but other times, depending on the arrangement and the situation, we instead deduct those expenses from the landlord's client deposit. So what's needed in QuickBooks to manage and keep records of these different deposits? Well, each security deposit you manage must have a separate current liability account in the chart of accounts to represent the total money owed to everyone regarding that security deposit. You do not need a separate bank account to hold each separate security deposit. The law may require this, but it is not needed for record-keeping purposes. The balance of the security deposit liability account mentioned in number 1 will show the amount of any bank account that should be reserved to pay back any deposit at any time. Now, think about this. Each tenant or landlord must be able to get a statement that shows every transaction that relates to their deposit. It must show the date of the collection of the deposit, the date and amounts of each expenses that the deposit was applied to, and the remaining balance of the deposit. Now, the current liability account in the chart of accounts must be equal to the total of each individual tenants or landlords. So here are our examples. We collect 2 separate kinds of deposits, one from each tenant and one from each landlord. We will add 2 separate current liability accounts to track and record transactions for each separate deposit type, landlord and tenant. The landlord operating deposit will be the name of the liability account that represents what we collect from our landlord clients for any potential expenses that they are responsible for that will not be withheld from the monthly payout. And the tenant security deposit liability type of account will be the name of the liability account that shows the balance of the total of all tenants' security deposits as if they all moved out at once and you had to pay it all back at once. So, adding the first security deposit account, let's call it landlord operating deposit. Now let's think about this. It's a liability account on your financial statements. It represents the total money that you owe to all your landlord clients in total for the collected security deposit related to potential expenses that you will not withhold from the monthly rent payout. It shows the total of what you expect to pay to all landlords at any future moment if they all stop suddenly using your services at once. The balance must be equal to the total of all landlords' deposits together. Now, how do we do this? Well, we want Alan's deposit plus Dave Deeney's deposit plus any other landlord clients that we have. We want the total of these deposits to equal one particular account in the chart of accounts that we'll name landlord operating deposit. How do we make QuickBooks able to do this so that it matches? The only way to do it is to make the landlord operating deposit an accounts receivable type of account in the QuickBooks chart of accounts. Now remember, account type in QuickBooks is not the same thing as account type when studying accounting theory. When you study accounting in school, you learn accounts receivable is equal to the total of what all customers owe us. But not here. In a practical situation using QuickBooks, an accounts receivable type of account means it's equal to the total balance of specific customer transactions. That gives the software the ability to help us much, much more, especially if we have a property management service company. Now, experienced people understand this. Our clients' balances will be negative because we owe them the money until paid back, unless it's been applied to an expense. This will make a credit balance for the amount we owe, and the account will correctly show on the credit side of the trial balance. So this way, we can see that it equals the total of all clients as well as having the correct balance before making the financial statements. Now, for non-experienced people, your trial balance will be completely correct. You can export your trial balance before making your financial statements, or you can make a normal, simple, monthly accountant adjustment to move the account to the correct side from the balance sheet if you need to print your balance sheet from QuickBooks instead of exporting the trial balance and making the statement that way. So if you have any practical experience, you'll understand that in QuickBooks, functionally speaking, this is the right way to do it, and it will work perfectly. So now let's go and add the accounts. So what's it called? Well, we said that it would be called Landlord Operating Deposit. List chart of accounts, account, new. Now, it's an accounts receivable type of account. Click continue. So make sure this is the right type, and we'll call this and all we have to do is click Save and New. QuickBooks will remember the account type for the next one, and this one is called Tenant Security Deposit. Save and close. Now, some of you might be required to keep a separate bank account for the tenants or the landlord's security deposit. Some states require that the tenant's security deposit be kept physically in a separate bank account and can only be applied to expenses the tenant is responsible for or to be paid back. It's sometimes called a trust type of account. We will only need this for the tenant's security deposit. For the landlord's deposit, we will just put the money in our operating account, the same account we use for generally running the business. The balance of the liability account, landlord operating deposit, will tell you the amount to reserve of the operating bank account to be able to pay back all clients if you lose them all at once. So let's add tenant's cash deposit bank account as the bank account that physically holds the deposit from the tenant. Very simple. To reopen the chart of accounts, we click List, Chart of Accounts. In the bottom left, we click Account, New. Click Bank Type of Account. Click Continue. And our name will be Tenants Cash Deposit. Save and close. And click No because you get stupid pop-ups. And now for the best part of the setup. This next step is really what makes QuickBooks Desktop so perfect for a property management service company. You must set up a detailed report for each of the two security deposits. We need this so that we can see each tenant and each landlord's security deposit balance. It will show every deposit transaction, such as receiving the deposit, applying it to an expense, and paying the remaining back amount to each individual tenant and landlord. You will have one report for each deposit type that you collect and manage, and each report will show you each tenant's transaction separately and each landlord's transaction separately. It's perfect. So what are the setup steps for this great report? Well, first, we open the customer balance detail. Then we click Customize. Then we'll change the title to the name of the deposit. Then we will filter by account and we will choose the specific liability account that we just created that will equal the total of all the transactions of that type of deposit. Then we'll save it to the icon bar and we'll change the label name to the name on the report. So we've done this before. Okay, very simple. Let's open the customer balance detail. Reports, customers and receivables, customer balance detail. Beautiful. Now let's click Customize and change the title to the name of the deposit. And the first one will be Tenant's Security Deposit. So we click Customize and we go Header Footer and change the report title Tenant Security Deposits. I hope that's good. Click OK. And now it tells you right here exactly what it is. And we have to filter by account and choose the specific account that's associated with the tenant's security deposit. No problem. Customize report, filter by account. That's the first choice to filter by. And because this is the tenant's security deposit, we will scroll down and we will choose this account, Tenant's Security Deposit. So only transactions that relate to tenant's security deposit will show up on this report one by one for each tenant. And we click OK. Notice there are none right now because we haven't had any security deposit transactions. But we still have to save it to the icon bar for what's coming. So change the label to the name on the report, Tenant Security Deposit. No problem. View, add customer balance detail to the icon bar, and the label name will be Tenant Security Deposit. Click OK. And now we have the report. After we have transactions that are specific to the tenant security deposit, they will all show up here, tenant sorted by tenant. And we have to do the same thing for the landlord. We have to click Reports, Customers and Receivables, Customer Balance Detail, Customize, Header Footer, Landlord Operating Deposits. Click OK. And now that the title looks right, we have to click Customize. And when we filter by account for this report, this time we're going to choose the landlord operating deposit, and only transactions that relate to this account will show up on this report. When we click OK, we see we haven't had any yet. So we click View, add Customer Balance Detail to the icon bar, and change the name in the label on the icon bar to And one quick last setup step before we're ready to enjoy recording security deposit transactions. You see, right now, the original report, Landlord Payout Balances, has never been filtered specifically for the rent payable to landlord clients account, the way we did with the security deposit reports. So right now, unfortunately, this unfiltered report now shows all transactions, including security deposit transactions. So we must filter this report, this Landlord Payout Balances report, so that it only includes rent-related transactions and not the security deposit transactions. We'll have to remove it from the icon bar and create it again. So just follow along step by step. We click View and then click Customize Icon Bar. If we scroll to the top, you can see that these are the icons in order, top to bottom in this box is the same as left to right. So we go to the report that we need, Landlord Payout Balances, and we click Delete and click OK. Now we reopen it, Reports, Customers and Receivables, Customer Balance Detail. We're actually remaking it. Now this is the way it should look, including every transaction regarding rent, because we have not yet had any security deposit transactions. But first, we click Customize Report, change the title to what it was, Landlord Payout Balances. Then click OK. Now, customize the report, click Filter, and and it's already chosen as Account as the first filter, so we click on it, Confirm with filtering by account, and we want to make sure that the only transactions that show up in this report are the transactions that get recorded in rent payable to landlord client. And click OK. Now, nothing changed right now because we don't have any security deposit transactions. But if we didn't do this quick little step, the security deposit transactions would be mixed with the rent-related transactions, and that shouldn't be. So now that the report is exactly what we need, it only shows rent-related transactions, and it looks the way we need it to look. We click View, add Customer Balance Detail to the icon bar, and put the proper name, Landlord Payout Balances. And click OK. And notice it added it to the icon bar way over to the right. And if you don't mind it being there, you can click there, and then you have your 3 separate reports right here. But if you like it where it was, you could click View, Customize Icon Bar, and you could just come down here to the little, see when it becomes a little cross? That's the moment to click and drag it. Well, you got to practice it. Give it a drag, go all the way up, put it where it was, click OK, and then it moved over. So you could put it wherever you like, wherever it's comfortable and convenient. And now this will only show rent-related transactions that you should isolate by month per tenant and landlord client. And this will only show tenant-related security deposit transactions. And this will only show landlord client, our clients' security deposit related transactions. And as soon as we make transactions in the next video, you'll see how great this works out.